The smell of cigar smoke and expensive whiskey clung to everything in the Valentino estate, but tonight it was overpowered by the metallic scent of fear. Sofia Romano stood in the marble foyer, her white cocktail dress a stark contrast to the darkness surrounding her. She'd been summoned. When Dante Valentino summoned you, you came, no matter that your father had warned you to stay away from the rival family's heir, no matter that crossing the threshold of this mansion meant crossing a line you could never uncross. Miss Romano. The voice came from the shadows at the top of the grand staircase, deep, controlled, dangerous. Punctual. I appreciate that. Dante emerged into the dim light of the chandelier, and Sofia's breath caught despite herself. He was devastating in the way a storm was devastating, beautiful and deadly, with dark eyes that promised both ruin and salvation. You didn't give me much choice, she said, forcing steel into her voice. Your message said my brother's life depended on it. Marco made some unfortunate decisions. Dante descended the stairs slowly, each step deliberate. He stole from me. In my world, that's a death sentence. He's 22 and stupid, not malicious. The result is the same. Dante stopped 3 steps above her, using the height advantage deliberately. He took $500,000 from one of my shipments. I want it back. We don't have it. He gambled it away. I know. Dante's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile, which is why I'm offering an alternative payment plan. Sofia's stomach dropped. She'd known, of course. Known why he'd summoned her specifically and not her father. Known what men like Dante Valentino took when money wasn't available. What do you want? You. The word hung between them like a blade. For how long? Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Until I decide you've paid your brother's debt. Dante descended the final steps, closing the distance between them. He was tall enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. You'll move into this house. You'll be available to me whenever I want, however I want. You mean I'll be your prisoner? I mean you'll be mine. His hand came up to cup her jaw, thumb brushing across her cheekbone with surprising gentleness. There's a difference. She should pull away, should spit in his face and take her chances with whatever violence would follow. Instead, she found herself frozen by the heat in his gaze. Not just desire, but something darker, more possessive. And if I refuse? Then Marco dies tonight, slowly. Dante's thumb traced her lower lip. And your father's territory gets absorbed into mine. I'll make sure your mother is taken care of, at least. I'm not a monster. You're exactly a monster. Yes, he agreed softly, but I'm the monster who's offering you a choice. That's more than most would give. Sofia thought of Marco, barely more than a boy, who'd gotten in over his head trying to prove himself. Thought of her mother, who'd already buried one son. Thought of the war that would erupt between the families if she refused, a war her family would lose. I want your word he won't be harmed. You have it, and my family's territory remains untouched. Dante's eyes gleamed with something that might have been respect. Negotiating your terms of surrender. I like that. Agreed. As long as your father doesn't move against me first. Then I accept. The words tasted like ashes and inevitability. Good girl. Dante's hand slid from her jaw to the back of her neck, fingers tangling in her hair. One more thing. This arrangement stays between us. As far as anyone knows, you're here because you chose to be. Because you want to be. Why? Because I don't need people thinking I have to coerce women into my bed. He pulled her closer until their bodies were nearly touching. And because when I finally take you, Sofia, I want you willing. Eager, even. Heat flooded through her, unwanted and undeniable. That will never happen. Won't it? His mouth hovered near her ear. I can be very persuasive. And we're going to have so much time together. The first week was a war of wills. Dante had given her a room in the East Wing, not his room, not yet, though the threat of it hung over every interaction. It was beautiful in the cold way. Expensive things were beautiful. All white furniture and crystal accents. A gilded cage. He'd also given her rules. Dinner with him every night. No leaving the estate without his permission. No contact with her family beyond a single supervised phone call each week. You're acting like a brat, Dante said on the eighth night when she'd refused to eat again. You're acting like a kidnapper, Sofia shot back. They were in his private study, a room that smelled of leather and bourbon. He sat behind his massive desk while she stood by the window, maintaining as much distance as possible. I gave you a choice. Between captivity and death. Some choice. Dante stood, moving around the desk with predatory grace. Your brother stole from me, Sofia. In my world, there are consequences. I could have killed him. Could have killed your whole family. Instead, I offered mercy. This isn't mercy. No? He backed her against the window, hands braced on either side of her shoulders. Then what is it? Control. Power. You get to own something that belongs to your enemy. You're not a thing. His voice dropped dangerously low. And you don't belong to your father. You're a person, Sofia. One whose fire and fury wrapped in a pretty package. One who's been making me lose my goddamn mind for 8 days. She looked up at him, startled by the raw honesty in his face. What? You think I don't see you? Dante's hand came up to her face again, that same gentle touch that felt like a brand. You think I don't notice how brave you are? How you'd sacrifice yourself for your family without hesitation. How you're terrified but refuse to show it. Stop. I've wanted you for months, Sofia. Since I saw you at the charity gala last spring, laughing with your friends, completely unaware that the most dangerous man in the room couldn't look away from you. Her heart hammered against her ribs. You don't want me. You want to win. Maybe it started that way. His forehead dropped to hers, breath warm against her lips. But somewhere in the last 8 days of you fighting me at every turn, it became something else. What? She whispered. Obsession. Then his mouth was on hers, and Sofia forgot how to think. The kiss was consuming, desperate, a kind of violence that felt like coming home. She should push him away, should remember who he was, what he'd done, why she was here. Instead, she kissed him back. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer even as her mind screamed warnings. He tasted like danger and dark promises, and when his hands gripped her waist, lifting her onto the windowsill, she wrapped her legs around him without thinking. Sofia, he groaned against her mouth. Tell me to stop. Don't you dare stop. It was surrender and rebellion all at once, choosing him on her terms, taking what she wanted even if it damned her. His hands were everywhere, learning the shape of her through her clothes, and she arched into his touch, months of tension finally breaking. Not here, Dante said roughly, pulling back just enough to meet her eyes. When I take you for the first time, it won't be against a window. It'll be in my bed, where I can take my time learning every sound you make. The promise in his words sent heat pooling low in her belly. Then why did you stop? Because you need to be sure. He helped her down from the windowsill, steadying her when her legs proved unsteady. I want you willing, remember? Not caught up in a moment. Sofia stared at him, this man who'd kidnapped her and threatened her family, who somehow showed her more consideration than any of the good men her father had tried to set her up with. You're a contradiction. I'm a criminal with a code. Dante traced her swollen lips with his thumb. I don't lie to the people I care about. I don't take what isn't freely given, and I don't let anyone hurt what's mine. I'm not yours. Not yet. His smile was dark and certain. But you will be. 3 weeks later, Sofia found herself in Dante's office again, but this time by choice. She'd discovered things about him in those weeks. How he visited the children's hospital every month and paid for treatments anonymously. How he'd taken in Lorenzo, his head of security, when the man had been a teenager with nowhere to go. How he read poetry late at night when he thought no one was watching. How he looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. There's a problem, she said without preamble. Dante looked up from his papers, eyes sharpening with concern. What kind of problem? My father knows I'm here. Really here, I mean. Not the story we told him about me staying with friends. How? Marco told him. He felt guilty. Sofia moved to the desk, bracing her hands on it. He's planning something, Dante. A move against you. I heard him on the phone. You're warning me? Dante stood slowly. Against your own father? I'm preventing a war that will get people killed, including you. The admission cost her, but it was true. Somewhere between hating him and wanting him, she'd started caring whether he lived or died. He's going to hit your shipment Friday night. Dante came around the desk, studying her face. You know what this means? Choosing me over your family? I'm choosing to stop a massacre. There's a difference. Is there? He cupped her face in both hands. Because from where I'm standing, you're protecting me, putting me first. Don't let it go to your head. Too late, baby. Everything about you goes to my head. Dante kissed her softly, gratefully. Thank you for trusting me with this. What are you going to do? Move the shipment. Set a trap. Make sure your father understands that attacking me means war and that I'll win. His thumbs stroked her cheekbones. But I won't kill him. For you, I'll show mercy. That's not mercy. It is in my world. Dante's eyes were serious. Your father tried to orchestrate my death, Sofia. By every rule I live by, he should die for that. But I'm giving him a chance to walk away because you asked me to. That's mercy. She realized then how much power she had over him, how this dangerous man would bend his own code for her. It should have terrified her. Instead, it made her feel powerful. Come to bed with me, she said quietly. Dante went very still. Sofia, I'm sure. I've been sure for days. I just didn't want to admit it. She stepped closer until their bodies touched. I choose this. I choose you. Not because I have to, but because I want to. You understand what you're saying? Once I have you, I'm never letting you go. Debt paid or not, you're mine. Then you're mine too. She rose on her toes to kiss him. Those are my terms. Dante's answering smile was fierce and possessive. Deal. 6 months later, Sofia woke to sunlight streaming through the bedroom windows, and Dante's arm draped across her waist. She smiled, trailing her fingers along his tattoos. She knew everyone now, knew the stories behind them. Good morning, Mrs. Valentino, he murmured against her shoulder. Still not used to that. But she was. Married to the man who'd once held her captive, now staying by choice. Her family had been horrified. Her mother had cried. Marco had apologized 1,000 times. But Sofia had never been happier. I have something for you. Dante rolled over, reaching into his nightstand. He pulled out a thick manila envelope. What is it? Marco's debt, paid in full, with interest. At her confused look, he continued. I'm tearing it up, Sofia. You're free to go if you want. Her heart clenched. Is this a test? No, it's a choice. Dante propped himself up on one elbow, looking at her with those dark eyes that still made her breath catch. Real one this time. No threats, no consequences. Just you deciding if you want to stay. Sofia took the envelope, felt the weight of it. Then she tore it in half without opening it. I already chose you. Months ago. This doesn't change anything. You're sure? Dante Valentino, you're still a monster. She straddled his hips, looking down at him. But you're my monster. And I'm yours. Nothing changes that. I love you, he said, pulling her down for a kiss. My fierce, brave Sofia. I love you too. She kissed him deeper. My beautiful monster. Outside, the morning sun gilded everything in gold, and in the east wing of the Valentino estate, a former captive and her captor chose each other, again and always. The end.